Hi, everyone. Welcome once again to our show. It has been a very intense week in our country. We had some very important conversations on the show yesterday. As I said, I will continue to say, as a white person, I'm going to keep learning. I'm going to keep using my platform to help educate my audience. One thing I want to talk about is our staff. We have a fantastic staff who I miss very much. I will say it, they're the best. Really, we have an incredible group of people, and we have young people on the staff. We have a lot of young people, mostly young people. We have some old people too. I won't say who, but one of them broke a hip playing ping pong with me. But a lot of young people, and some are so young that they weren't alive in 1992 during the Rodney King beating. They were on a Zoom meeting with our producers talking this week about everything going on. And when you listen to these young Black men and women talk about racism and the racism that they face every single day, it's so clear that we have not made nearly enough progress. We have a very long way to go. And one of the best things that white people can do is listen and learn right now. You can find a place to donate, sign petitions, protest. But really listen so we can learn. That's the most important thing. Here's one immediate thing you can do to be a better ally. If you haven't watched Ava DuVernay's documentary 13th yet, watch it. Watch that. We have to learn from the past in order to move forward. That is a powerful lesson. And Twitch, who I want to listen and learn from, what would you recommend someone who wants to be a better ally? What should people do?
Well, I mean, you're in the right path of like, knowing, like getting as much knowledge as possible. The 13th is fantastic. Yesterday's show, a couple of the books that Van was talking about, White Fragility. Also, there's a book named How to Be Anti-Racist. And also there's a workbook called the Racial Healing Handbook. And that's really special because it gives you like little practical exercises that it's not long, it's not super lengthy or very heady. It's actually very easy to apply. But again, it's just raising that awareness. And another documentary is King in the Wilderness. It's actually it focuses on Martin Luther King's last 18 months before he was assassinated. It's on HBO. It's called King in the Wilderness, and I love that because during this time with a lot of the stuff going on in the streets, I think a lot of people confuse Dr. King's approach as the nonviolent approach as being passive. And it was not passive. He was still very much disruptive in the actions he was taking. He just didn't use violence with it. So I think people also really need to get a hold of that too. I've had a lot of people tell me I need to revisit Dr. King's speeches and watch the movie Selma, as if I don't know that. And nonviolence doesn't mean so you can still be disruptive and nonviolent.
I just also want to say that I think it's really important, and I have learned this actually in the last few days to show that as someone who thinks they know, I really didn't know, is that I have talked to my kids since they could speak about racism. But what I didn't do is stress enough how to be anti-racist. It's not enough to just say, I'm not racist.
Yep.
You actually have to do work.
Exactly.
You, as a white person, meaning me, Ellen, everybody who is privileged and has that white privilege, we have an obligation to actually be active in our not being racist. It is not a passive thing to not be racist.
100%.
Yes. By the way, I was just going to say that we'll put the names of the books and the documentaries on our website to remind people of, because I really think, this show we all need to be educated. We all need to learn. And if people really don't understand the pain that has been inflicted for years and years, then they won't have empathy. They won't have the compassion. And I think people need to understand what kind of pain has been inflicted on the Black community for,
There's no more status quo. If we're not actively moving away from racism, we're moving towards it.
And also, and that's not to say that that work is not going to be uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that really needs to be said, and that is not an understatement. Like that work is not going to it's not going to be comfortable work, you know, but it's something that is incredibly necessary just for us to move forward, um, just as a human race through love, you know. So it's just you don't have to be a racist to benefit from the system of racism, you know, and just finding out those tiny subtle ways that you might be holding up the system, and that like that takes work, but it's necessary.